introducing one of the new features in the Purpose Code app, which is so there are 4 main tabs. There's Purpose, Love, Money, and Ask Shereel. And under Ask Shereel, there are 4 mini tabs: Purpose, Love, Money, and Timing. And if you click on Love, the mini tab beneath the main Ask Shereel tab, it offers you couples synastry, which means that if you add in the birth data of your partner, somebody you're dating, you could do it with a family member, a friend, a business partner. It is kind of more geared towards romance, but you can do that for several charts. So if you're dating, you can put the birth data in of several people, can choose which ones to save, which ones to delete. But essentially, the app will map your birth data with the birth data of the other person and help you to understand compatibility, your patterns together, your karma together, and also if your purpose is aligned with that person or if that relationship has its own purpose. So one of the things that happened when I did the exhibition is, so I'm going to put that phone down and I'm going to stay focused and not start answering emails, which is what I was almost going to do. So one of the things that happened at the exhibition, the Love tab was not available. It was all purpose, all of the prompts, money, etc. And lots of people just kept asking about love. They asked about relationships, the timing of meeting somebody, what's going to happen with their current relationship. And so it just became evident that people want to know about their love life as much as their work and career and as much as their money. And in some cases, even more, because if people have a career that they're satisfied with, if they're kind of okay with their money, they might have a gap where love is in their life. So there was a lot of questions about that, hence adding it to the tab. And then more questions kept coming in about partners and about timing with partners and committed relationships, etc. So I was like, I'll just give the people what they want. So that email went out today. So if you have a paid membership in the app, that is available to you. And you can just go in, put your data in, put the data in of somebody else, and you will get a synastry reading. So it will literally tell you about that relationship, what to look out for, what works, what doesn't, where you're compatible, where you're not, etc. So I just wanted to kind of give everybody a little bit of guidance as to where that sits in the app, because it obviously wasn't that clear. But also just to let people know that love is aligned with your purpose in a lot of cases. So some people, they discover their purpose as a result of their relationship or a relationship ending, or their purpose is activated through a relationship. So yeah, it's different for everyone, but love is just as important as money for some people when thinking about their purpose. Any thoughts, Monet?
I think of a time, it was long ago, and I think it was before Purpose Code. You and I were having a chat. I think we were still doing school. And I said to you, I'm not interested in relationships at the moment. It's just not on my radar. I want to focus. Do you remember that conversation? I know you have so many conversations. And I said, I want to focus on my career and I want to focus on, and then you said, why? And I said, well, because what man would want a woman who's all over the place and doesn't, the money is not coming and going and, and you were like, that could be the thing. And of course, I'd never actually thought about it before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I hadn't even opened myself up to to any possibilities or even
Even the
pursued that.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd
Yeah.
never thought about it the way you had said that it's actually part of the whole. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason that, apart from people asking for it, I think the reason that I thought it was important to add love is because if we think of the soul's journey, right, all of us are here to activate the frequency of love, right? Get away from the fear and the more negative, lower frequencies and get into love. And I'm not talking about the fairy tale love, I'm talking about the energy, the frequency of love, which helps us all to evolve as souls. And sometimes the lessons that we go through in life are so that we can appreciate love, right? So everything's about polarity. So if you don't have it, when you get it, you're more likely to appreciate it. If you have it and you lose it, that in itself creates growth. And for other people, and I think this is very, very true of the bridge archetype, right? This is something that shows up over and over again. And also for the Pluto in Libra generation, which is people born between, I think it's 1971 and very early 80s. Relationships are part of their transformation, awakening, soul growth, right, in the world. So if we can just think about generationally, there is a whole cohort of human beings that are on the planet to help other humans understand the power of love and relationships. And what that looks like is that Pluto in Libra generation were officially the generation of the divorce era. So previous to that, most families just stayed together. We come into the 60s, it's now becoming a little bit more common, still not necessarily acceptable, for families to split. Women get the pill, so they are less likely to feel as though, they can't live their life freely, right? So there's less need to stay with one partner. And so that generation of children throughout the 70s going into the 80s were the first generations where divorced parents became quite common. They were like single parents raising children. Before that, we were talking about like the 50s and 60s. It was all very, Stepford wife, the nuclear family. And so that generation, it's not an accident that Pluto was in Libra during that time, because Pluto kills and so it's like death and rebirth, right? It transforms. And so Pluto came into Libra and said, let's transform the way relationships look. And that generation is also the generation that has a very heightened sense of justice and equality. So, my generation as a parent is the generation that became really accepting of alternative types of relationships. So, for me personally, I have Pluto in Libra and Uranus in Libra. So if you're a bridge archetype, you'll have Uranus in Libra, which means that you may be part of an unusual relationship, or you are an ally of alternative, unusual, innovative, rebellious in nature relationships. So I remember just becoming really aware of like having a gay cousin and being like, oh, okay. And at that point, especially coming from a Jamaican background, it was like, whoa, like, what do we do? He was obviously rejected by a lot of people. But for my generation, he was older than me. But for my generation, it was like, yeah, like, love who you love. Right. And also, that was that was when we started to get a groundswell of mixed culture relationships. So before that, it was less common that you would have people from different ethnic, cultural, or racial backgrounds marrying. 70s onwards, like now, no one would think about it, right? But early 70s, especially somewhere like the UK, people were definitely still ostracized if they married somebody from a different cultural background. So that Libra, Pluto and Uranus in Libra generation are the generation that came in to usher in equality and justice in relationships, which is effectively love is love, right? So we carry that torch within us. And so we're like, excuse me, like equality. So women are to be treated a certain way. We don't care about same sex, like transgender. We don't care about different cultures, religious backgrounds. It's like love is love. That generation is the generation that holds that torch and really ushered that in. So you could say that Uranus in Libra, the bridge archetype, part of the work that we're here to do is to help people see that, right? Is to say, well, it's okay if, you want to have more equality in your relationship, or if, socially you want love to look a different way. We don't hold the judgment that previous generations may have held, but we're also here to really bridge that gap. So that is how love could be part of your purpose if you're a bridge archetype. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it's about how relationships look. But also, if we think about from a family perspective, children of divorced families, right? Our generation, the bridge archetype, are likely to be those family therapists, right? Or even those family lawyers, right? Because Libra rules legal. And also, very likely to be the people that preside over alternative marriages, right? So the people that, I mean, it's not as uncommon anymore, but years ago, if you wanted to have a committed relationship and you were a same-sex couple, it wasn't allowed in certain countries, right? But there would always
Still
be
not.
somebody, right? So it's still not,
Yeah,
but there'd always
yeah.
be somebody who's like, I'll do the ceremony, or we can do a spiritual ceremony, or we can go here and, right? That's the bridge generation who is like, no, like, we're here about equality and social justice, right? So if you think about that in terms of love, it's like, how do you love again if you come from a divorced family, right? Our generation of the bridge to that. Well, we can show you. You can do it in different ways. You don't have to repeat those patterns. Let's do the work, right? So, in that respect, then love is definitely part of your purpose, but also for this generation, we tend to have broken relationships, right? So it's like we are the divorced era, right? Parents divorced, we divorce, or separate. We experience a lot of trauma through relationships because Uranus holds that trauma energy and Pluto transforms. So if you've got Pluto in Libra, and I've done, I did some work with Kelly Hunter, and we sat with groups of people with Pluto in different generations. The Pluto in Libra generation, which is my generation, all of us, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, if I'm wrong, then somebody please correct me. But I think all of us had broken marriages or committed relationships for lots of reasons. But it was like the marriages end, right? And then we have to figure out life as a result of that. That is almost like the trauma point, the awakening point that forces us into our purpose. So for many of us, we took a real left turn in life as a result of a relationship ending in whatever way, for whatever reason. Yeah. So love can be a big part of your purpose, and even if you think about couples, Like there are celebrity couples who are doing well because they're a couple, right? So it's like their relationship created their purpose. So I don't know, I can't think of an example off my head, but there are those people where you didn't really hear about them. They weren't really well known until they became a couple, and now, everyone talks about them. So,
So the interesting thing for me is every time I moved to a different city or country,
mhm.
I broke up a really committed relationship to do that. So I've never stuck with a relationship. I've always said bye. Like I'm gonna go do me. Yeah.
But you're a bridge, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So Uranus in Libra is asking for freedom.
Mm.
Libra is the marriage or the committed relationship. Uranus like, I need freedom from the relationship. So you could have, and without getting too deep into astrology, you could have a pattern which I just happen to know that you're Pluto in Virgo, right? So you could have a pattern where every so often, and it could be like years, it probably is in years rather than months, you just feel that call, that urge, I've got to go. And the thing that you are likely rebelling against is the relationship, not necessarily the location,
Mm.
right? So a way of getting your freedom is to
Mm.
end the relationship, and the reason is to travel, right? So it's like, gotta go. We'll end this. It's called breaking bonds. We'll break this bond so that I can go to the next level of my personal awakening, right? So we
Mm.
all have Uranus somewhere, and Uranus is really the planet of awakening, innovation. It's the planet of separation, right? Like it rules Aquarius. Aquarius rules separation, divorce. So if we're ever going to make a bid for freedom, there will be some kind of aspect, transit, or pattern that's related to our Uranus placement. So that is really interesting that you noticed that pattern.
Mm.
Yeah. And then you'd move, and then what would happen?
No, we end up breaking up, and then I'd meet somebody else, and yeah.
And start again.
No,
Yeah.
but never again in a long-term relationship that oh yeah no yeah and then move again and then yeah
And do it
and I think
again.
but this period of my life for I think the last 4 years I just made a conscious effort of not getting into a relationship.
And why was that?
Like we had said, because I didn't feel like I was in a good place,
Mm-hmm.
and so I didn't, because financially, knowing what I'm doing, what my business is going to be, I didn't want somebody else mixed up in that.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Mm.
I completely get that. I think I had many years after my main relationship ended where I call it my lost years, where all I wanted to do was travel, work, um I guess find myself, right? Even though I wouldn't have called it that at the time, it was a time of being radically selfish, and I'd raised a couple of children, and you don't stop raising them, but you know what I mean? They'd got to a stage where they didn't need me every day. And
Mhm.
it was just it was amazing just to have that time of constant focus on myself, not having any guilt, right? It was like no one to really answer to or discuss things with, being able to make decisions for yourself and live with the consequences. Um, and during that time, I didn't even feel like I missed that. I felt like I was really focused on putting myself together. And even the idea of relationships during those years just felt almost like a bit of a burden, But I rightly needed to put myself back together, right? I needed, even though you don't always realize it at the time, I did need the freedom to figure out what I was doing without the influence of another person or a
Yeah.
relationship, you know? So I completely get that.
And forcing you in a direction, because is it South Africa? Is it Dubai? Is it the UAE? Is it Bali? I don't know. You know, and I think once you're attached to somebody, that can have a very big influence.
Absolutely. And this is one of the things that I think using the couples synastry in the app is going to really help people with, because what I would say is we attract into our lives the partners that we need for that time. Now, for some people, especially if they have like Saturn in the 7th house or Capricorn in the 7th house, that just speaks to the condition. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to marry a Capricorn or whatever. It talks to the condition of your partnerships. So if somebody has that kind of aspect going on, and I can think of a client right now, they'll get married young and they'll probably stay married for life, right? One partner, that's it. But that's probably because they came into this life with some other things to focus on. That person is definitely not part of the Libra generation. They're much younger, right? So I just think if you were born into the Pluto or Uranus in Libra generation, it's not all about relationships, right? We have some other things going on. And a lot of those things that we have going on is about learning more about ourselves, being a little bit more self-aware. Also, having a bit of a hero or heroine's journey, right? A lot of our work is to figure out who we are. So if anyone's ever read, is it The Alchemist? Paulo Coelho.
Yeah, yeah.
It's The Alchemist, isn't it? So there's The Alchemist, there's the hero's journey or the heroine's journey. And it's literally the story of somebody finding themselves through this like series of events and learning from different gurus and teachers and different cultures. And that is something that the Pluto or Uranus and Libra generation are here to do. We're kind of here to go it alone. We are here to have those periods of being a bit of a trailblazer, a bit of a pioneer, of having that time of separation to discover who we are and how we're here to serve. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a relationship, but if the relationship doesn't give the flexibility and freedom that you need, it will be broken so that you get to go and do that. Otherwise, you're likely in a relationship where maybe you're both doing that together, right? So the relationship endures because you're both doing the same thing at a similar time, or your partner is understanding enough to let you go and do little pilgrimages here and there, right? And or maybe allow you to start your own business and learn yourself that way, right? So we have that call. Part of how we activate our purpose is to do those solo missions. So it just makes sense. How long they last is how long they last, right? But we are here to do some of that work. And for a lot of us, we have Chiron opposing Uranus, right? And Chiron is the wounded healer. It's an asteroid. Some people say it's a comet. And what that does is it brings up childhood trauma. And so if you have that opposing Uranus, like I do, and many people of this generation, what will happen is you will embark on a journey of healing based on Chiron in Aries, because that's the polarizing point, it's the polarity point, it's the opposite point from Uranus. And it just means that how do you heal your childhood wounds? How do you get yourself together after whatever you've been through? Got to go solo, get on a little mission, start a business, just really figure out how to lean into that, no matter how painful it is, and then come out the other end with the purpose. So it does make sense. It's the journey of codependency to independence, or the duo to the singular, right? It's like, how do we figure out, who we are without somebody else's direct influence?
Yeah. I'm not saying there's never anybody. I just make sure that it's never gets to the point that this is going to become something bigger.
Priority.
So it's always, priorities. So what is that saying? A reason, a season, or a lifetime, is it? So I always think of it like that. So, you sometimes look at somebody and you add them up and go, well, are you a reason, a season, or a lifetime? So it's like, okay. And I try not to go for lifetime right now. So I'm going a reason or a season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
I don't know. I think a lot of people are falling into the first two categories, especially with the way that relationships and dating look at the moment, right? Like, we hear
Mm.
stories constantly of like the shift. And I think relationships are about growth, right? They're about learning, they're about understanding, they're about personal growth. The person that you're with is going to be reflecting something back to you, right? If you attract somebody into your life and you're in an intimate relationship, and that doesn't have to mean like sexual or romantic, just like spending a lot of time together, sharing emotions, thoughts, ideas, sharing time, that person is reflecting something back to you. And often what they're reflecting back is a pattern that it's time for you to change, right? Or a
Mm.
cycle that you're ready to end, or your soul's ready to end. And here comes this person, and they're doing this thing that you really hate. And you're like, why do they always do this thing? And at some point, you'll realize that you also do that thing. And the fact that you don't like it in the other person, it means that you must end it within yourself, right? So relationships are purposeful, and I think if people could like open up to the idea that they're here for a reason, what is the reason? What am I supposed to learn from this person? And just stay there until you get the full understanding. That's about growth. And often the pattern is that we try and exit or leave early, and they come back round, or somebody else doing the same stuff comes back round, because the pattern is the pattern. And if we're ready to end it, or our soul's ready to end that soul contract or that karma, we're going to keep confronting it, right? So
Which is why it's interesting that you said it doesn't always have to be a love relationship. If I think of the friends that I've had, or just people that have come into my life and given me guidance, then I think I've had a better relationship with some of those people than love relationships. So
yeah,
more fulfilling,
yeah,
in a way. So that
probably a little bit less guarded.
yeah. Mm. Which is nice to know that those are also valuable in other ways than just friendship. Yeah.
I think so. I think,
Mm.
and it depends on everyone's chart, right? So some people are more inclined to have friends, like lots of friends. I should have, but I don't. I just thought about it. Like, hang on a minute. I kind of do. Do you know what it is? Most of the people that I call friends, I meet in a work or career capacity, because my career is the 10th house. So of course they're friends, but they're not just like social hangout friends, right? So my friendship networks are always very work focused. But if you're geared towards having lots of friends, then of course they're here to serve you, and you them, right? For some people, it's family. I think some of my biggest lessons have come from extended family. And you can see almost like phases or errors through life of where certain family members were really prominent, stuff happened with them, and then you kind of move on, and then other people come in, and right. And I think family is really important because they carry the ancestral codes, right? And they're the things that are often really hidden, that it's really hard to identify. But if you have like a sibling, an aunt, an uncle, like parents, grandparents, who you really don't get on with, or they have habits where you're like, oh, like whatever, it's likely that they're carrying an ancestral code that it's time for you to do something about, you know? So,
Wasn't there some code that just got broken now, or some ancestral code? I don't know, something I read. But it's interesting that you say that, because with my family specifically, we're just learning to love each other again. And that's also interesting. So it's a different,
interesting.
your family, so you sometimes think, oh, but we must love each other. No, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then that almost hating each other and then falling in love with each other again in a different way, which has really, really been nice for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what you've been telling me, I had quite a strained relationship with my sister.
Yeah.
And after, I don't know how many, 2 years now, so 2.5 years, it's really becoming something unique and different, and, loving and fun, and, again, in a different way, which is
Yeah.
nice. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
amazing.
and that was a lesson I think both of us had to learn. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
It's
that's
easy.
really interesting. That is.
Yeah. Because I mean, we lived together, and we'd never lived together other than being children. And so it was
Mm,
very difficult for two women to have a household together. And then
of course.
learning to, I realize when I give up something so that she can do it, and I've noticed that she does the same thing. And that's really big, right?
Yeah.
To go,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not going to interfere when she's making the tiramisu, because she's not making it my way. But I'm going to enjoy her tiramisu. And
Yeah.
she's like, I don't make soup the way she makes it, but she's going to leave me to make the soup, and she's going to love it.
Yeah.
Silly things like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's also a way to learn to love again, right?
Yeah. But I think this is why the I guess if anybody was like, what is the meaning of life, or what is the reason or the purpose of life collectively, it is love. Because I
Mm,
think when we can get to that point that you've just described with your sister, where it's like what you've learned is compromise, how to have harmony and balance, the outcome and the result is that you've learned to love each other again in a new way, which is
mm,
so powerful. But it's giving you like maturity, growth, like vision, peace, like it gives you so much, like beauty. It just really makes your soul sing. So if the two souls came in to the world with the intention of learning how to love in that sisterly way, I don't know, I can't remember all the names of love, but there's like agape love and this love and whatever, but like develop that, then you've achieved that, which is amazing. But you can also look back and say, oh, these are the times we didn't get on, and that was so difficult, and we couldn't wait to get
mm,
away from each other. And but life brought you back to complete this cycle, to do this work, right?
mm,
And so I would also be like really curious about not just the journey to get there, but how that is shaping you as a person, and maybe even your purpose, right? Because
mm,
you've gone
mm,
through a process and you've learned that the way to make this work is I'll let her do her tiramisu her way,
mm,
right? And she'll let me do my soup my way. And
mm.
they are signals of love.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is a way. And if I think of something now, when you were talking, it was the last time I came to Dubai, which was May last year. It's like she could not wait to get rid of me, and I could not wait to leave. And
Yeah.
this time when I came, she was like, we started with this whole, you can see we at that age where apparently it's really beneficial to have fermented food at our age because it's very
Right.
good for our gut health. And
Yeah.
so we've
Yeah.
been all researching this and having a look in the house at what it all entails. And so I said so we were saying we're going to ferment, was it pickles or something, or um, chilies or peppers or something like that. And I said, "Oh, now you're going to do this without me." She said, "No, no, no, I'm going to wait for you to come back. And we're going to do it
Oh,
together." I was like,
yeah.
whoa, that's like a big moment. I
Yeah.
didn't make too much of it, but I mean, this was for us, her and I, a huge moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That is
mm,
really lovely. But
mm,
I just think, there's something that you see in each other. There's a cycle that you've concluded together. And from that, you get to move forward with this new
mm, mm,
energy. And that just keeps growing, right? And we're all better for it when we figure out how to go through the difficulties, the challenges. It helps us to learn more about ourselves. As well as each other. But love is really purposeful in that way,
mm,
So I think does it need explaining? I don't know. I think for some people the focus is just romantic love because we understand loneliness, like there's an epidemic. Some people are in a place in their life where they want to have a family, they want to like settle down. For other people, it's just part of what they think their life should look like, right? But I do think that understanding that relationships are about the mirror, the reflection, the opportunity to see what is within us that we are ready to change or work on or even like embrace, right? Because we learn from other people. Oh, I love the way they do that. Like, I like the way they speak to people when they're angry. I'm going to do more of that. Or I like the way that they fold their clothes. I don't know, like, oh, I love the way they drive. Like, they can teach me, right? We get and give. That's the idea. But love, like, greases the wheels, right? Love helps us to keep going because when times are really tough and you're like, I want to escape or whatever, and there's
mm,
more to learn, or you're in the middle of a cycle and there's some karma there that wants ending, it's love that kind of keeps you there and keeps you going. So
yeah.
I do think that it is really important. And for some of us, I think we can only go so far with our purpose alone, right? We will get to a point, and it's a little bit like the skipped step. For some people, the skipped step is a relationship.
Mm,
That is like mind blowing. So when that happens, it's like for some people, they have to learn how to relate to others,
mm, mm,
right? So they have to, like repair their relationship with family members,
mm,
learn how to develop friendships at 40, really hard, right?
mm,
Like you've moved to a new country, new everything, you've got to make friends, you're 40 years old. That's really tough. But out of that, you develop certain things that are going to help you. For other people, it's a romantic relationship that challenges you in very different ways to have a certain level of maybe compassion, understanding, and forgiveness that helps you to end karmic cycles. Because for a lot of us, our partners are karmic, right? They're not
yeah.
just about this
Probably. Yeah.
lifetime, that we've lived many lives with them. And um, I know that you've done like past life regression with me. So, there are some people, they go back and they'd swapped genders, they'd swapped roles, they come into this lifetime, they owed their partner something, and right, they're trying to resolve what happened in a previous lifetime. And now in this life, they won't go beyond a certain part until they reconcile that karma. And it's not always negative. Like karma isn't punishment, karma is just energy that's been built up.
Mm,
Right. So if somebody was too possessive, too jealous, too controlling in a past life, they come into this life, the roles swap. Now they know what it feels like to be on the receiving end. They're going to have to develop compassion for that person to end that karma, right? So you will only go so far if your purpose is tied to resolving some of that karma, and that karma is about relationships.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is, I guess, kind of deep. I know not everyone believes in past lives. Of course I do. But I just think sometimes you will meet either the same person over and over again, or the same cycles and the same things are happening. And you'll be like, why? Why do I always meet men who? Why do I always meet women who? Right? And there's something for you to resolve there, right? There's some karma. And it's not always easy to say to people, well, what did you do? Right? How did you co-create this pattern with somebody? Because a lot of the times we like to point fingers, and we don't want to feel like, hi, Lois. We don't want to feel as though we have some responsibility. But I think the sooner we can get to that point and be like, so I always attract this kind of person because I always lead with, right? Then you've got a chance at resolving that, changing the behavior, changing the way you show up, so that now you attract a different energy, right?
Yeah.
But if it's karmic, it's going to take a bit of work.
Yeah. I think two things that you said, and I know one was long ago, but I found interesting, was when you were saying that when people show up in your life, and sometimes there's that frustration and there's the conflict, and then you wonder why, and then you, well, what's the lesson, right? So that's interesting, and I think we don't give that enough attention. Where we sit, like you say, sit with that and think. I heard a thing once where it's not conflict, but somebody said, if somebody says to you, put your seatbelt on, they're really saying, I love you. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
So when,
Yeah.
so you never say you love me, but I just told you to put your seatbelt on. I love you.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm telling you to be safe, to be careful. So isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is like looking at the pattern is sometimes it just struck me that sometimes the pattern is not who you're attracting, it's that you are repelling because of who you are. And I think I may attract the same person, but because I'm the person who goes, at some point I'm going to leave you because I'm going to move on, because I'm not going to be around, that guy's not going to stick around, and they don't.
Yeah.
And it could be that that's my pattern and not their pattern, that I'm the one setting the tone for the relationship. Going, I'm not going to be around long. Don't expect this to last forever. Who's going to stick around for that?
Yeah. What's your moon?
Virgo.
You are Virgo moon. I did think that. So that's really interesting. So I'm just going to tell you something about a Virgo moon. Not that you asked, but because I'm obviously like, so I'm that person who's like, my problem solving is very astrology oriented, right? So somebody's telling me about a pattern, I just imagine that I know everyone's birth chart. And if I don't know, I get really frustrated with myself because I think I should have them all in here. So here's the thing with strong Virgo placements, and a moon is a strong placement. And this is second house for you?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Right. So your value system, your self-worth, your sense of self is hyper independent by nature. Right. And I'm saying this as a Virgo sun, so this is all love, right? Because I recognize this is probably one of the reasons we get on so well, right? Because I recognize that in you. So in a relationship, it's going to be really difficult for you to surrender and compromise on things that challenge your sense of independence. And so if it's easier for you to just make all the decisions, figure out your routine, your schedules without having to consider another person, then that is what you're going to do. However, here's the thing, because that moon is in Virgo, you either have a tendency to over sacrifice or go real surface and like, I'm not sure. So this is your assessment at the beginning. Season reason, because we're definitely not doing lifetime, right? Because in your mind, whether they're there or not, you're going to be okay. Hyper independent. I've got this. Like, I will work my way through it. I'll figure it out. I'll look at the small details, like you're your own accountant, your own this, your own, right? That is very Virgo. And so, because Virgo rules like the goddess energy, it's almost giving you a bit of a superiority complex, although Virgo can be the martyr, right? So the person that will actually ground you, right, and bring you into commitment is the person that challenges your hyper independence. And they're going to have a real level of awareness, or you're going to have the awareness to be like, and I'm not saying this is because you want a relationship, but it's probably inevitable, right? That long-term relationship comes in. And what's likely to happen is that once you have the awareness of, I'm really hyper independent and I break bonds in relationships to keep being hyper independent. And I don't know where your Pluto is, but it is in Virgo. I don't know how close it is to your moon. But transforming out of that hyper independence is what will give you the bounty of a relationship. Because at the moment, the viewpoint that I'm sensing, and I might be wrong, is that relationships kind of, or another person kind of gets in the way of your work, what you want to do, like how you want to focus and how you want to move. Whereas that's what you're going to keep attracting if that's the belief system at work. But the minute you say, I know I'm hyper independent, wouldn't it be great if I met someone that added to that, that understood that saw that as a good thing and allowed me to maybe like settle down a little bit and be just independent, right? Because part of the joy and beauty of life is when we can receive. But if you're a hyper independent Virgo moon, you're just going to give, and you'll be depleted anyway, whether there's someone there or not, right? So strong Virgo placements, we have a real tendency to burn out because we over sacrifice, we just over give. But you're going to need like somebody, something, some people to pour back into you.
Yeah, hopefully one day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But it's interesting that you've developed that with your sister now. So now you're experiencing the energy of love in a certain way that will grow. And wouldn't it be
And it took
interesting if
time.
it
It
grew?
wasn't. Yeah. So you're saying interesting if it grew?
Yeah, if it grew into like partnership or like a friendship or something else. Because here's the thing, like a lot of people get really hung up on like a romantic partner. We have companions, and women are very, very good at having friends and networks, right? As we get older, I'm not saying that women don't need romantic relationships or that they don't need men, but sometimes we're really satisfied with just some really good friends. You know, it's like you want to go shopping, you want to go for lunch, you want to go for a coffee, you want to have a chat, this, that, and the other. And it's just like your friendship group that keep you going. Do you know what I mean? But for some people, they do need companionship and they do need romance, and it's different for everyone. But I just think that once you start developing love, like you're cultivating love with your sister, you get into the habit of that, you'll continue to cultivate love in all different ways. Yeah. And then you don't have to be hyper independent and make the tiramisu. You just have to make the soup.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
nice, right?
But
Yeah.
like you said, friendship's important. My good friend is arriving in Dubai on Friday, so she's just coming to visit me for 8 days. So there's
Oh,
that.
that's
You have those
nice.
friends who are going, well, do you mind if I pop over? And I'm like, please come. And
Yeah.
yeah, so and I have that friend who's also, very, very, yeah, she gives me a lot of support. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you said, there's
And
space.
that's
If I think about it now, then that's Bridget. Yeah. So she allows me to disappear, come back, be here. Sometimes she'll go, "Hey,
she
I haven't
gets
heard
it.
from you." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, but busy." So okay, let's go do coffee. So you need that person as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
But isn't it great that she senses that
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
allows it? She
Mm.
can hold you in that. I just
Mm.
think sometimes it's harder in a romantic relationship for the other person to understand that. I think
Yeah.
that's a special person that can
Yeah. That
give
allows you to disappear
space like
and
that.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
But
And we'll
it's
travel 8 hours on an aeroplane to just come see you. So there's
to
that.
just come hang out and have coffee and
Mm.
do
Yep.
things for a few days. Yeah,
Mm.
it's important. So yeah, so I just think that if we think about relationships, how we relate to each other, the other thing that I think's really important, and I don't hear people talk about it a lot. I'm not saying that they don't. I don't hear it a lot. Is that it's really important to cultivate relationships. So human beings, we need connection, but also um, everything in our lives comes from other people, right? Good and bad. So when people isolate and are not very good at cultivating relationships, um, at cultivating forgiveness, grace, compassion, and all of those components that make great relationships, then we miss out on opportunities for certain things. So, whether it's help, support, like money comes through people, ideas, just the ways that we develop and grow and live, it all comes through human connection. And
Mm.
so, it's a really important part of human development and purpose to learn how to cultivate relationships, how to cultivate love, how to figure out what it takes, right? What are the boundaries? Like, how far do you go? Like, how many times do you forgive before this person is not great for my life? Or how many people do you need to be around to start to feel safe, perhaps? Or at which point do you connect with the right people that are going to help you go to the next level of whatever it is that you're working on? So if we think about things like health, it's people heal and recover a lot quicker with human contact. When people are isolated, this is why we had such a disaster with COVID, right? A lot of people were dying from very like serious conditions because they were isolated. And
Mm.
people that have human contact, sometimes you just need like a hug or just to like know that other people are there. They start to thrive, right?
Mm.
Like plants
Mm.
are the same. You put a plant with lots of plants, it's happy. Plant on its own, unless it's a cactus, it's miserable. So I just think that understanding how to develop relationships is really, really key. And so the questions that we often have about the people in our lives can be answered with synastry, right? So when you go into the app and you have the app already has your birth chart in it, but then if you go and add other people's details, you start to see compatibility and you will get information like this is a great partnership for creative projects, right? This partnership can lead to friction and conflict, or you do great with this person when you're traveling, or you might enjoy eating together with this person, right? So you will be shown or told where you're compatible and
Mm.
the ways in which certain relationships actually support you and make you a little bit more buoyant and help you to achieve some of the goals that you have. So I know for a fact I have a certain person in my life where when I'm in close proximity to them, we both just feel more abundant, but we both have greater opportunities. When that person's not in my life or they're not around, I can feel the difference, you know. And it sounds
Mm.
really weird, but I think if people kind of like tuned in a little bit more, they'd notice that. So some people, I've had this before where I've been around certain people, I'm just constantly ill. It's like
Mm.
just sick, like non-stop. It's like, what is going on? You take some time away and you know, recover your health and vitality, you realize that, oh, like, and it could just simply be their birth chart. It doesn't mean they're toxic, have negative intentions, but how their energy affects your energy, it makes you more open to certain things.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that's really good to know, especially if somebody new's coming into your life. Like, what can I look forward to with this person? Is this person compatible with me? And if so, in what way? Right? Because we don't want to pursue romance if it's a friendship or a business partner. Let's not get confused. Right?
Mm.
But also, if somebody's in a long-term relationship and they've hit a wall, is it a transit or is the relationship really over?
Mm.
Because I've seen people end relationships on a transit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, we just can't get on. It's terrible. We're always arguing, blah, blah, blah. And they end the relationship, the transit passes, and they get back together. I have clients who have like divorced and remarried. I have a few, maybe a
Mm.
handful. Yeah, which just tells you
Mm.
that there was a transit, right? So
Yeah.
if you're having problems in a relationship, you put that into the app, and the app will tell you, right? You're going through this at the moment, and what is required is deeper understanding, more compassion, be forgiving, better conversations, and work on your communication or whatever. But this is not the end of the road. It's not, you know, it's not time to break up. It's time to go deeper and do more work.
Mm.
Yeah. And we can all do with developing our qualities and characteristics, right? Sometimes we get to a place where it's time to adjust our value system. The things we valued at the beginning of relationship no longer relevant. It's just all about the work that we have to do,
Yeah.
you know? So,
And those are
yeah,
good things to know. Those are good things to know when you're, yeah, when you're sitting with a. But sometimes we make that decision in anger or fear, or but you know, to take the time and to really work through it. Mm.
yeah. I think we can all be a little bit more patient, right?
Mm.
But if
Mm.
we had some answers sometimes, then
Mm.
we'd kind of just feel encouraged to be a bit more patient, you know, like, oh, like there's a certain moon phase or a planet's just got into a sign. So now I'm facing this challenge or difficulty. If we know that, then we will have the patience, but
Mm.
also we'll see the opportunity to adjust something or work harder on something or pay attention to something. And that gives us the, I guess, the intention to work harder rather than be like, this feels awful. I've got to get out of this. Do you know what I mean? Because oftentimes it is that a cycle's ending, but a new one's starting. So it is time to go from the party phase or the honeymoon phase where everything was great to now the maturing phase, right? It's almost like
Mm.
the relationship's going through a Saturn return. Like now we've got some real hard work. Like if you're in a relationship and you've just bought a house, why would it be the same as when all you do is go on holiday together? It's a new phase. It's just not always that obvious. You know, if you
Yeah.
were a couple that got together and now you've had children, new challenges, right? It's not that obvious always, but that happens sometimes in other ways. right? There will be a transit. Somebody in the relationship is going through a cycle where they are required to develop compassion or forgiveness. So, of course, their partner is now going to do something that requires it.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you're saying that it's like different strokes for different folks, and knowing that, and it's not always about astrology, but sometimes it is important to understand that. So I had a friend who would say to me years ago, she'd say, "Oh, when you need to meet somebody, because until I met my husband, I've become more successful. He's become more successful. We really ignited each other. You,
Yeah.
me, Renee, need to find somebody so this can happen for you." And the
To
reality is,
ignite you.
it may not happen for me. Hey,
It might not work like that.
no, it's like,
No.
oh, I'm really happy for you, but that doesn't mean that because I find somebody in my life that and get married, that I'm going to have the same thing happen to me.
Yeah. Because what if your purpose is not to be ignited in that way? What if your purpose is to travel the world, working with people in a certain way? And so actually a relationship does the opposite for you. Like, we don't know, because it's just not
Yeah.
going to pan out the same way for everybody. And that does happen to a lot of people. Like, they get in a relationship and life is just blooming and rosy and it's great. But those same transits that brought them together and had that happening can have a downside in other ways, right? So it's like, it's all about placements. It's all about the synastry, and but it also depends on what people value, right? So
Yeah.
she obviously values that kind of success, and she may be overlooking some of the polarity, right? The downside, right? So while that's
Yeah.
happening, there's something else happening. So a really good example is I know a couple like that I'm quite close to, where they got together, got married, and I looked at the charts, and they, based on their individual charts, they both now had Jupiter. Their Jupiter is in each other's first house, right? They start traveling like 4, 5, 6 times a year. They both like make way more money. They're doing great. They're like really happy, feeling really abundant. And then they both gain a ton of weight because Jupiter expands, right? So Jupiter in the first house expands you physically. So you're going on holiday all the time. You're making more money, like buying stuff, like having a great time. But very gradually, the two of them are becoming bigger and bigger, less and less healthy. And then they're going to have to get to a point where they're like, okay, maybe we are having too many nice dinners. Maybe we're drinking too much. Maybe we're not going to the gym enough. Maybe we need to start working on our fitness. But in the time where it's like this great awakening of, oh my gosh, like I've never had so many glorious holidays and been to so many beautiful places, and like work is great, everything's great. That would be the downside, right?
Yeah.
So the planets do great things, but there's always balance. And it's not necessarily a downside, it's just that every planet has different interpretations, right? So Venus in a certain place can have you generate a lot more income, right? Make a lot more money. But on the downside, you're just going to spend loads more. It's like unexpected bills, like, oh, well, at least I've got the money to pay them. But when you balance it out, you're kind of in the same position. So lots more coming in, but lots more spending, right? Because now you've got the money, you want more stuff, and there's more bills attached to the stuff and more responsibilities with having the stuff. And it's like, people say, oh, I just want a big house, I want a mansion. And they focus on getting the mortgage or how you're going to buy the house, but they don't think of the security systems you need. They don't think of like the cleaners you now need. They don't think of the gas and the light bill and the water bill, because everything is like supersized. And it's like, yes, it's great. Go have your mansion, but also with it comes the maintenance, right? So it's not necessarily a negative, but it's like there's always balance, like it's equilibrium.
Yeah.
So yeah, so sometimes the people that come into our lives, they are here for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And often the season would be karmic, maybe, right? So someone comes into your life, by the time they leave, how have you changed? What's happened, right? Who are you now? And who were you then, right? Because that person will have had an impact on you, and it would have brought you to a certain place. Other people, it's a reason. That person came into your life to help you understand X, Y, and Z, right? Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
And you say that sometimes I've gone into somebody's life and I'm like, what was that about? And I thought, okay, maybe I was some karmic reason for them. And then maybe I didn't get anything out of that. Maybe
Yeah.
I was the reason for them.
You were the
Okay.
teacher.
Yeah,
You went and did your job. Yeah. Because
So it's not
we're
always
all
happening to you. Sometimes you're happening to somebody
to
else. Yeah.
them. And I say all the time that I happen to people. I believe that I happen to people way more than people happen to me. I know that. I have evidence. And it's so weird because in my mind, I'm like, I did what? Like, but I'm just here being like, I just think of myself as being like quite demure and delicate. I know I'm not, but I don't imagine that I have the impact that I do. But yeah, sometimes you're the one that goes in and ignites something or awakens somebody or transforms their life, and then off you trot. You're like, you've done your bit, off you go, you know? And that is maybe part of your purpose, that you show up and do that for people. So yeah, but I do think that love is very, very much a part of purpose, because that's what we're here to align with, to activate. We're here to live at the frequency of love or above. And it doesn't mean that we don't have fear and we don't have anxiety and, you know, all the other things, but it does mean that as long as we have an awareness that there is love available to us all, we can be cultivating love. And sometimes that is just through romantic relationships, right? They're the relationships that are sometimes most karmic. They're the relationships that activate people the most. They're the relationships often that will transform people. Like, I've watched people completely change their whole personality for a romantic partner, good, bad, or otherwise, right? It's that intensity of that love that makes them like become whoever they become at the end of it.
So it was part of the app that I was avoiding, but I think I'm going to go investigate.
I love your honesty. It's like, so why were you avoiding it? I've had fun with it. Like, I purposely made it so that the charts were not saved automatically, like the Synastry charts, right? So you can play with it. And if you choose to save a chart because you want to keep going back to the Synastry, great. But there are people out there who have had many charts associated with theirs, right? Like, and I'm like, when I hear these things, I'm like, yeah, I did the right thing. Because, like, I don't know, if you're dating, do you not want to check which is the best chart for me? Who should I continue
Now
with?
listen, do you need to know the time of birth, because that's going to be complicated?
Well, you do. And this is like, I mean, if you don't, you can do the morning, noon, evening, like you can kind of guess. But for accuracy, of course, you need the time. And if you're dating people that don't know their birth date or don't want to give it up, that might be an indication of if this is a good match for you. I don't know. Like, because
I did get a question. I did get a why. Reason. Just wondered.
Yeah.
Your mom's getting old. She may be the
Right.
only person who knows.
Who knows?
Don't you
Yeah,
want to know?
don't you want to know when you were born?
Yeah, and they were like, no, I don't care. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it is something that is like, I mean, you've got to know somebody and be reasonably comfortable with them to ask that question. But by that point, like, if you're considering anything long term, then of course you should ask.
No,
But
no, no. I'm not considering anything long term. But this is also somebody who's completely against not against astrology, but it doesn't exist. Like,
yeah,
okay.
not
Mm,
interested. Yeah, so
mm,
sometimes you're just going to have to maybe select all the options and see what it says.
mm.
But I do think that was one of my power moves, making it so that
You can put in many.
yeah,
Many,
I mean, it's the
many. Okay.
reality of the life that
Yep.
some people are living, right? Is that yeah, they want to know. They want to know there's options. And not everybody is dating in that scenario either.
Mm.
Some people are in a committed relationship and have extracurricular activity. It's not my place to judge.
Yeah. Whatever.
The app just needs to be useful, but if you do have the what I would call good fortune to meet somebody that activates parts in your chart that you need to work on, no matter how painful that is, like, you might want to know that and know that it's actually worth sticking around that person because of the growth you're going to get as a result, right? Rather than running away or being like, no, I'll go for whatever, or just keep moving. Some people literally show up to help you end a karmic cycle,
Cool.
which is hard, but I think valuable, So, yeah. So I think, how does the love, like couple synastry or the love tab, help you as an individual without looking at relationships? The thing that I think is pretty interesting is it tells you how you want to be loved, right? It tells you what works for you as far as the way you receive affection. Everyone gets an archetype. It tells you what you're kind of inclined to do in terms of how you show up in different relationships. But I also think that once we can understand love for ourselves, because like self-love is priority, like above relationships and everything else, like think about how you love yourself. Do you love yourself? Are you able to accept yourself for who you are? I think that in and of itself is really helpful in directing purpose, because if you do not get to a certain level of self-love, self-acceptance, self-awareness, it's going to be really hard when you're going through the trenches of making changes in your life or trying to make things happen or showing up for other people, right? So there are patterns that we all have around self-worth, self-acceptance that we can work on, and some of that is like societal, some of it's learned, some of it's programming, or some of it's wound related. But yeah, just getting into like full self-acceptance and self-love, I think, is the most important part of the love tab. Like understanding yourself. Like, don't betray yourself. Don't do yourself a disservice in the name of love or other people's love. You better love yourself. You better figure out how to have your own back and how to show up in the world. Because if you can't do that, then it's going to be really hard to have that kind of like peace and harmony in your life. Yeah. So
Go to the app.
yeah.
Love tab. Ask Sheryl Love, right? Ask Sheryl Love tab. Yeah.
Yeah. So go to Ask Sheryl, the mini love tab there. And there are prompts as well, which are really helpful. And while we won't use it a great deal during the challenge, I am sure there will be moments where that could be useful still. And just things around why. Why do I avoid X, Y, and Z? Why do I not price correctly? Why do I not want to show up to promote what I'm doing? There will be some self-worth, self-value, self-acceptance stuff going on.
Mm.
Listen, showing up on a live like this, oh my goodness, like it is definitely not second nature, right? It's not. For some people, I know they're so comfortable. They do it in the car while they're driving, they're walking around the supermarket. Just, I could never. Like, I've got to be sitting down. Like, I've got to be like focused. Like, it's not natural, but it is something that you can push yourself to do if you work through some things, right? You're not going to get very far if you're not willing to show up. Do you know what I mean? If there's an issue around that and it's to do with self-love, you're going to have to deal with it, right? So the way that you sell things, that you promote things, that you market things, even the way that you work with people, like in terms of delivery, if you've got some strong Leo placements, you're going to have to get on video, you're going to have to get on camera, you're going to have to show up, and you're going to have to deal with it.
Leo rising.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But it's
Might have to put on some
practice.
makeup.
It's practice.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Might have to put on some makeup.
Whatever helps, whatever makes it work. Because like, I'm gonna put on some makeup, I'm gonna use a filter, I'm gonna use a ring light, like I'm gonna do all of it. I'm gonna think about my outfit. Like, I'm gonna do everything, whatever it takes, because I'm gonna show up. I'm not gonna pretend that I can roll out of bed and just do a Substack live. I will not. I won't. My Venus is in Leo, right? So I'm not just going to be on camera. I'm going to beautify for the camera because that's Venus energy, right? So how do I show up? I show up done. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, whatever it takes.
I
That's
want
how
to
I'm
see
going to
you.
show up.
Imagine if you'd become a lecturer or something and you have to arrive in an auditorium with 300 students every day. I would have loved to see you.
What do you mean?
It would have been interesting, is what I'm saying.
Why?
Because you said, like, I think students don't care. And it's like, if you arrive all, crossed and made up. And,
No. Here's the thing. That's not on camera.
Oh, okay.
In real life,
yeah.
I'm very different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Track suits and sweats and
catch me on a regular day. You know that I've just come out of the gym. Hair's wet, like no makeup. I might have shades on because I just wear shades, whatever, like a hat or whatever. But oh no, real life, it's different. But the camera's not kind.
True.
The camera's not kind. We're going to combat everything that the camera highlights.
You
That's
need
the
to
difference.
do what was it? You were saying you want to do a workshop on money. I think you need to do a workshop on camera.
Really?
Showing up on camera.
Well, we'll definitely be talking about it during the challenge because I know for an absolute fact that everyone has a Leo placement, right? So where do you need to show up? Yeah. And we know the age that we are living in, we have no choice but to get on camera at some point, whether it's a Zoom call with a client, right? Whether it's like for something like this, whether you're going to be on a podcast, whether you're doing a YouTube channel, like all of these videos are going straight to my YouTube channel, right? Years ago, I would have had an absolute meltdown. I would have been fighting to get to YouTube to remove those videos or at least check them, like watch them. What do I look like now? I could care less, right? Just share the good news, get as many people watching, whatever. It's no longer that, like, that panic attack of who's going to see it? Oh my God, what do I look like? Like, what does my voice sound like? All of those things, right? So it's like, but that's why I'm like, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get ready. And so that I don't panic like that. And it's not because I'm like, well, I know I look perfect now. It's just that I'm like, okay, I did the best I could, right? To do that. Like, as long as I know I've done my best, which is a very Leo thing, it's like, I just know what I have to do to get on camera. in real life, I'll turn up and talk to anybody. Right? I don't feel the need to do all of that prep. I'm going to worry about what I'm wearing. Like, I'm Taurus rising. I'm always going to do that. But I think the camera does something different to all of us. It just does. Like, first of all, it makes everybody look bigger. It highlights things like, you know, dark bags, or, you know, like, it just highlights things that people don't care about in real life. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to try and combat that, because I know that these videos can go anywhere. And that's just who I am and my reality. Not everyone's got Venus in Leo. Do you know what I mean? If you see me on a night out, and I'm not going to tell people to go look at my TikTok, because my TikTok, I'm just on nights out. So if anyone's looked at my TikTok, and I know a couple of clients have found me on TikTok, and they're probably like, who is this? Right? This is one of my other personas. But I might have like makeup on and stuff like that, but I've usually got a hat on and like a jumpsuit, or like leggings and a top. And trainers, right? I just don't do the whole, you know, like,
Glitz and glamour.
I'm not. I'm going to wear trainers. I'm going to wear some leggings, probably a hoodie. I might have a bit of makeup on. I'm going to have a hat. I'm just going to have like hair down, and I'm just going to be having a nice time, right? And doing a dodgy dance, because I'm not the best dancer, but I'm still going to dance, whether I'm the best dancer or not, because I like to dance. And that's it. So I'm not really as bothered in real life, but I'm just very conscious. You get on camera, somebody, I literally just got a TikTok notification saying I've got 21 new likes.
Maybe you were a
Somebody
presenter.
just got onto my TikTok.
Maybe
21
it was
new
nice.
likes. There aren't 21 people watching this. So what's going on? Sorry, go on.
Maybe you were a TV presenter or an actor in a previous life or something.
Definitely an actor. Definitely. I know that. I know that. So I have been, like, since the age of 9, doing TV, performing, like, my whole life. That's what I did as a kid. Like, I was paid to perform. I was like on stage. Yeah. So
Maybe
I know
it's going
that.
to be a Purpose Code TV program. Who knows?
I'd love a documentary. Wouldn't it be great getting people's stories of how they aligned with their purpose and what their purpose is? I just think, I've thought about the documentary. I just think that would be spectacular, because people are so fascinating, right? And people's stories, like, so inspiring. But I've definitely thought about that. And I just think it's just about learning about people's journeys, you know, like hindsight's 2020. It's great. So yeah, so Decode the Offer is the 5-day challenge starting Monday, the 22nd of June. I have to say this because I need to make sure that people know, because I know without a shadow of a doubt, there'll be somebody that after the challenge has started and they can't get in, are going to say, well, I didn't know about the challenge. And they're not going to have that voice, and I'm going to say, but I spoke about it. And they'll say, where? And I'll be like, on a live, I don't know. Or maybe there was a post somewhere. So I'm doing my best to be more consistent and show up properly and give out all the information. So it's called Decode the Offer. It is a 5-day challenge for founder owners. What's a founder owner? A founder owner is a solopreneur. So somebody who works as like a coach, consultant, advisor, healer, therapist, and they have their own practice and they're building a business, i.e., they need to do some kind of sales and marketing. They need to get clients so that they can live their life, like they can pay their bills, but also they've got to get their message out to as many people as they can so that they can deliver their gift, their purpose, their practice. So if you're into fitness, you could be a yoga teacher, you could be a Reiki healer, you could be a business coach, anything at all. where you have your own practice. You do not have to be spiritual. That was another question I got asked. Is this only for spiritual people? No, astrology works for everybody. You do not have to be spiritual. You don't even have to be soulful. But if you are a founder owner and you are struggling to get clients, keep clients, get them coming back to you, get new clients, and you have services or products that you want to sell, then it's very likely that you haven't decoded your offer. And the offer will be created over 5 days. So, starting, if you enroll now, you will get the challenge panel open up in the app. And what that does is it releases the prep, which is where you'll learn what your skipped step is, like the habit or the pattern that keeps bringing you back and holding you back. And each day we will tackle one area of creating your offer. And you'll receive prompts via the app so that you can go and put them into Ask Shereel, and you'll get answers, and it will be around everything from who is your audience, your customer, your buyer. Tell me who they are according to your birth chart. Who are the people that naturally come to you? You'll learn about pricing, how to create your offer, the timing of your offer. So the timing of when you create it, when you launch it, when to start selling, when to market, how to market. You'll even learn things like what kind of numbers should you work with? Should you do one-to-one or groups? Big groups, small groups? How should you deliver in person, online? All of these subjects we will tackle. And by the end of it, you will have your offer decoded. Now, there's one really important thing that I've not mentioned before is that each day in the app, you'll go through the prompts, you'll do your work, and then there's an area for you to save what you've figured out. So, for example, if you're learning about your standout buyer, your customer, there are prompts that you put in and you can keep going. You don't have to use just the 3 prompts, and you'll learn something. And at some point, there'll be a question like, who is your standout client? And you'll say something like, 30 plus years old, man, works in engineering, looking for ways to get fit, only has time at the weekends, and is willing to work with a personal trainer online. You'll get that level of detail. You type it in and you save it. You do that each day. And when you come to the end of the offer, the app will share with you everything that you've written down. So there you have it all recorded. That stays with you. That is your offer. So what you will have created at the end of it is almost like a template, so that whenever you create new offers in the future, which we should all be doing, don't listen to the people who say, stop changing your offer. Change your offer. People get bored. Like, we will all want variety. You will learn and develop as a person. You'll have more to give. But now you've got a template. You know who your client is. You know how to price it. You know the best timing for you. And that will be according to things like moon phases, like times of the month, times of the year. You'll know how to create it, but you'll also know how to make your offer really sharp and pointed so that people can pick it up, understand it, and make an exchange with you for it. So it's all done in the app. It will all be saved for you. You'll have a complete template. And if you are on the free tier right now, and you pay for the challenge, it's currently at £97, which is the early bird offer, you get full access to the app for the entire duration of the challenge until the 1st of July. So if nothing else, it's worth it to have full access to Ask Shereel, all of the tabs, get into the app, work through the challenge and come out the other end with real clarity around who your audience is, what you should offer, how to do it, and how to make the money that you're trying to make. So I'm really excited to do this challenge with everyone. We've got a nice group coming together already. Like we've got a little WhatsApp group, which is where we'll discuss with each other. Momo's back to close out as always. He knows his cue.
He knows the voice change. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
they're so smart.
It's like Microsoft closing down. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like we're at the end of the news presentation, right? The previous live. Yeah, and we're in WhatsApp and we're like, everyone's chatting away. I haven't been in today. I'll go and have a look in a little while. But yeah, we're going to develop a little community that understands who we are and what we should do according to our purpose.
Awesome. Looking forward to it and excited for the journey and learned so much already. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Please share the
Thank you.
videos. I know that this goes out onto different platforms, and I will share some of the clips. I'm not very good at doing that, but I'll share them. Please share them. And the early bird ends on Thursday night, BST. So if you know anyone that you think this will be great for, get them to join now while it's £97, because it will go up to 197 at the end of the week. So yeah, let's get in the challenge and let's figure out how to decode our offers.
And then we're back tomorrow with?
I can't remember, but there is one scheduled for tomorrow. I think it might be a bit later as well. Like this one's a bit earlier.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that not as many people get on, so we might be going a bit later. Let's see. Let's see. The views are getting really good though, so people are watching the video later. And I also want to say that I had a look at the analytics today, and over the past, I think it's 7 days, we've had almost 2,000 unique visits to the app.
Oh,
so I'm going to
wonderful.
say that it's because of these lives that people are at least going and having a look. I haven't looked for signups, but that was just like looking at the analytics. I think it was like 1.6 thousand.
Wonderful.
Like over 7 days. That is like phenomenal. So keep looking at the app, download it. It's free to set up your profile, put your birth data in. You'll get the purpose tab for free, and you can upgrade when you want to upgrade. So yeah, keep going.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I will see you tomorrow.
Yep.
And I think we've got a guest with us tomorrow again. And tomorrow we're definitely talking about money, pricing, the money tab, and the money signal. One of my favorite things to talk about. So yeah, see you tomorrow, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.